Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start on this very late Friday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. No live stream today as I was up late at least for myself, maybe not for other people out there, as yesterday was a rather eventful day, and those for myself happen, like a handful of times a year, and so I wanted to take advantage of that, and I'm happy to take advantage of those times, of course, drinking as much caffeine and maybe even Red Bull as required. But right now, as I recover from the lack of sleep, I just wanted to do a quick little update on Bitcoin. The same sort of ideas that we've been exploring for the past couple of weeks here are now coming to fruition, so I wanted to follow up on that. And let's waste no more time and just jump into it right here. Although I should, before we get into it, request or humbly request that if you do find this content valuable, then the best way to get back, the easiest way to get back, simply like the video. You can always dislike the video later, and well, it's all good if you decide not to anyways. All right, cool. So let's jump into the most important thing of the day, the next big information. That's going to be the daily volatility versus stochastic momentum chart that we've been running off of. We've gotten several signals of this even in the past few months here, and we've got yet another one in the midst right here. So what essentially is a signal, and what does it essentially imply? Where is price action likely poised towards as it does play out? Well, first and foremost, what is a signal? The BBWP measuring volatility, which is the dispersion of returns, is ticking up now, and anytime that we have seen it tick up, essentially expand, as the correct terminology is, from these lowish levels, anything below about 10 percentile, has led to an average move about 20% over the course of 10 to 14 days. Big variability, by the way, in the amount of days taken, which has happened, I think, like 12 times in the last year or so. Now, I've backtested this even more into 2018, and very, very similar results. And we are getting yet again another one of these iterations right here. So the way that I look at this signal is that it is now active. However, there is another confirmation point of this. So we do want to see the BBWP not just remain above the moving average, which it is above right now, and it has a positive slope, which we have 2 of the 3 requirements for a full-on confirmed signal. But now we want to see the moving average on it swing back around, get a positive slope as well. Now, 2 out of 3, is that front runnable? That's obviously a preference thing. Understand that it's not fully confirmed, but the move likely is underway. Anyways, we'll provide some color onto kind of how to invalidate the move being underway in a second here. But for right now, I do look at this as, very much relevant, especially as we do see the 12-hour time frame starting to tick up here as well. So we should naturally see, these sort of time frames kind of bleed into each other, obviously. Anyways, now that we have that, and now that we have the historical moves of this, of which, again, it's been about 20% on average. The last one that we actually saw was about 26%, to be fair, right here, done over the course of 13 days, so still very much within that time allotment. But right now, if we were to extrapolate those targets, again, to the upside or the downside, because volatility is direction neutral. However, we do have a bias on direction based off of our momentum oscillators, which is obviously to the downside, as we've been saying, and that would imply, if it were to the upside, about $35,000. And if it does come to the downside, which I think is a little more likely right now, or is more likely right now based off what we're going to talk about in a second here, then the targeted region would be somewhere around about $23,000. Now, we can, if this is going to be the expansion phase right here, we'd actually take this high, boom, 20%. Actually, maybe more like 23 to 24,000 bucks. It kind of depends exactly where you take it from. At that point, though, Bitcoin's too wrecked to care for, I think, most people anyway, so maybe a moot point. Anyways, in that case, to get the bias on direction, we've been using the daily stochastic momentum oscillator, of which this one is having a fresh cross down and will be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin is closing today below 29,500. So a very specific number right there, meaning that if Bitcoin does close above, that is invalidation, at least for the current setup. And I would sincerely wait for, at minimum, the moving average on this to get a positive slope. Until that happens, though, downside significantly more likely, as we've been saying, and it's also in the same line of the trend. And, we have a bit of redistributed pattern here as well. And Bitcoin basically is soaking up all the altcoins, which typically do see in nice and downside markets. Anyways, so yes, that is an invalidation for that. Until then, yeah, I do think that downside continuation is most likely the thing. We're going to see, of course, moves to the upside and the downside, little pumps and dumps in between there, just like we saw yesterday. But ultimately, I would be looking at that level now, especially for today, and then we'll come back at it tomorrow and update again as a major region to be aware of. Other than that, the next thing that I want to get into right here is, of course, on this chart, of which this is going to be freely seen, I think, or freely seen. This is easier seen on CME, which typically has better signals anyways, and that is a bit of a descending triangle, of which we do have a measured move from this upon validation, which we have actually not gotten validation on it just yet. Validation would be with even a 4-hour closure below about 28.5 or so. basically the low side of our current range, and that would have a technical target down basically just below 27,000 bucks. Obviously, Bitcoin likely to get a bounce somewhere right around there, and then yes, does this signal take over and bring Bitcoin further down? Well, historically speaking, that would be rather likely. And speaking of likelihood, I should also define that just because the daily stochastic momentum oscillator is turning down doesn't mean that it's 100% guaranteed to move to the downside. Obviously, nothing is ever 100% guaranteed, but when I have backtested this out of the last 12 iterations, 10 have worked out in that direction, meaning that the direction of the stochastic momentum oscillator on the first tick of volatility expansion has been the correct direction of that move for, typically about 20%. In some cases, actually many cases, actually a little bit more than that. As you do see over here, we see some that are even close to 30, of which I would expect this one over here probably not to be on the upper end of that. The last one obviously was, because we were contracted for so long. For example, here is contracted below about 10 percentile for, about a couple weeks. This one, significantly less. So likely a less volatile resolution in the midst right here. Anyways, with that in mind, again, descending triangle over here, not confirmed, obviously. But now what we can do is we can go over lower term timeframes, of course. So in the short term, does Bitcoin bounce off this yet again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't have a strong opinion on that. My strong opinion is on, as long as Bitcoin's below 29,500, I'm looking for downside resolution, and any sort of a pump is just another lower high, essentially. And if we were to throw a nice little fib on it, guess where this, I guess if we were to put a proper fib on this would be the 382, would be around 29.5 as well. So that'd be a really, really good rejection area, and also kind of coming in line with the last few lower highs. You can kind of follow this trend line right here. I'm a lot less partial to those sort of things. I saw a lot of people plotting fucking symmetrical triangles on this, and they probably have not done their homework, because when I've actually backtested those, they have garbage results. Although that is, of course, a personal preference thing. And hey, man, I'm not here to fucking talk shit about other people's methodologies and whatnot. I'm sure it works great for them. For me, I don't find the results all that compelling. But descending triangle is pretty damn good. Ascending triangle is also pretty damn good. In this case, we would have the descending variety of that, and it just comes down to trend is what it comes down to, just to basically a downtrend. And again, so that 29.5 region, very, 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 very contentious. Anyways, in the short term, let's go over funding rates over here. These have been hilariously good at getting essentially the day's direction, and we do see that funding rates are actually positive here, just like they were yesterday after that nice little pumpola, which obviously got sold into. But in this case right here, that would be implying that longs are paying shorts to hold their positions, and they're paying to hold positions that probably either just barely above water on, or perhaps a little bit or severely underwater on, of course, which is of course a consideration, especially if you're trading at large sizes. Anyways, as far as lower term time frame momentum pivots go, let's go over that right on over here. 12-hour is very, very interesting to me. We're actually seeing the HVP of stochastic volatility really lift off from extreme lows here, and we will be having downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 29,100. So we could look at that as like an intraday level, obviously, meaning that if the next 12-hour close below there, the probabilities of seeing this one continue onwards and downwards, playing out the daily charts that we've been looking at, continues essentially. And if we go to the 6-hour, what are we seeing right here? We are seeing a loading screen and also downside pressure as long as Bitcoin is below what? 29,100. And 4-hour is showing what as well? Is showing another loading screen, which is great. Nope, rejecting and getting out of, or getting into the bullish controls and also turning down. This one a little bit more close to current price action, pivoted at 28,830. So that'll be rather interesting to see, because this one's closing in about an hour and 4 minutes. So if we do start close above that region, Bitcoin's probably got another bounce in the short term. Again, can bounce anywhere, even close to like 29.5 and not really change all that much, at least for myself, on the higher term timeframes. And then the 3-hour is going to be pivoted at 29.4, and the hourly is going to be pivoted at 29.150. So a lot of the lower term timeframes coming in around that 29.100 number or so. Keep in mind of that region on the lower term timeframes intraday here, and then of course 29.5 for the daily. And I just want to see what the daily levels are amongst other exchanges. Yeah, this is rather interesting. Coinbase is showing 29.7. That is juxtaposed against Finex, which we were referencing earlier, which is showing 29.5. Index is going to be showing 29,650, and BitMexico are going to be showing 29.7. So, you know, which one's the right one to be going off of? It doesn't matter which one you're going off of. It just matters that you're consistent with it. So it'll always be relevant to the exchange that you are looking at. If you do have this indicator, the advanced stochastic, which of course is on the app there. Other than that, I did forget to call out this or did I call this out? I think I called this out yesterday. We did see some hidden bearish divergence on daily spot right here, of which that was confirmed a couple closures ago, now getting kind of follow through from that, and again getting rejected from getting out of the bearish control zone. Not the best signals right there, or not the, I mean, they're good signals, but not the best for the Brulots there. 12 hour, same thing, many drives of hidden bearish divergence, and also teetering right around the edge of the bearish control zone yet again. So I should offer up an invalidation for just like the overall formation here, because, you know, weird things do happen, obviously. And it is kind of, you know, it is kind of a lot to be calling for or be looking for a 20% move. But what would essentially make me bullish out of this? I always want to be asking myself like the opposite question, essentially, as far as trading goes. And, you know, in this case right here, as long as Bitcoin's in the lower high fashion, I don't really see any real reason to be switching around on that, except for, you know, short-term little pop-ups. But essentially, what would invalidate that? Well, if you want to go by the book, if you want to be as conservative as possible, you'd be probably using this 15th of May high right here, which is just above 31,000 bucks. And if you're a little more aggressive, probably using this high over here, which was essentially around, or basically 30,000 bucks, just above 30,000 bucks, would be kind of that last rejection that we saw on the 25th of May right here. So as long as Bitcoin's below these regions, again, lower highs still rule the world, and trend rules the world as well. Other than that, I'll be sounding off right now. I want to once again remind you that I am trying to be more active on Instagram. In fact, I'm going to go get a goddamn iPhone just to be able to do it. I want to be sharing like more sort of personal stuff there. If you happen to give a fuck, obviously, if that's not your thing, then that's not your thing, and probably shouldn't be on there. Other than that, I should also let you know about Bybit. We have a Bybit show link in the description below as well. As always, when it comes to these leverage exchanges, do not, or at least I would strongly encourage you not to be risking financial equity on any sort of trading, whether it be leverage or not, because it's probably not going to work out. And what you probably should be doing, or at least a more prudent thing to be doing, would be to back test your strategies, which you can do for free, and you don't have to risk any financial equity. And then you can just literally find out is it going to work for you or not. You can do that on our platform over here on the Trading Journal, which is free. You can do it on actually Bybit as well. You can't back test there, but you can do like a testnet account, which is also good, and that is free as well. You can do it on pen and paper. You can do it on Excel. These are the things, however, that in my experience are going to actually make you a successful trader. So with that said, I'm going to be signing off now. I want to wish you well, take care, and see you hopefully soon.